Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Theodore Parker Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Robin Colgrove, and my family and I have been coming to this church for over a quarter of a century now. As we enter into worship, we bring with us all of the sorrows and joys of our week, and we know that here we are held in loving community. We are reminded that we are part of something larger than ourselves. Here we seek to counter oppression, to work for healing and justice in a bruised and broken world. Here we invite all of you to bring your perspectives, your beliefs and doubts, and all that is unique and wondrous about you to our service. In the spirit of love, all are welcome here. For those joining us in person, a few things you may want to know. Our congregation is mask optional, and if you would like to be seated in an area where others are also wearing a mask, this section over on the side is reserved for people wearing masks. You can use the QR codes at either entrance to pull up the order of service or take one of the large print copies available at either entrance. Our service is being recorded today and will be available on YouTube later. If you would like to have a joy or a concern shared with the congregation today during meditation and prayer, we invite you to fill out a card anytime before our meditation hymn on the table to my left, your right. You may also light a silent candle of joy or concern at any time during the worship service. People of all ages are welcome to move about in the sanctuary as they need to, or to make themselves comfortable in the cozy zone in front of the first pew. Today, children are invited to be with us during the whole service. During the service, our new childcare provider, Shay, is available to be with nursery-age children in the nursery located in the parish hall. Many thanks to our Zoom usher, who I don't know who is the name, sorry. If you're new to Theodore Parker Church and are visiting today, we'd love to stay in touch. You're invited to fill out a connection card, which will give you an opportunity to sign up for our weekly updates and help us welcome you. A link to the connection card will be in the chat, as will contact information. Those joining us here in the sanctuary are encouraged to fill out the contact card you'll find in your pews within the welcome brochure. At this point in the service, we'd like to take a moment to greet one another. For those of you on Zoom, putting your video on for this time helps us connect. Please put the gallery view up so we can see our offsite congregation. Let's give each other a big wave, sanctuary folks. The camera is back in the back behind the clock. As we continue to greet one another, if online, you may post a hello in the chat. If you are physically in the sanctuary, we invite you to greet one another and to say good morning, and please ask for a consent before offering a hug or handshake. Please greet one another.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Reverend Heather Concannon. My pronouns are she and hers, and I am the minister here in this congregation. Before we do our opening words, I just want to make a note about our candles table. We can see that some of the candles are lit already, and I want to especially encourage you, if you'd like to fill out a candles card before the service begins, you're more than welcome to, so that you don't have to get up during the middle of the service, which you're also, of course, welcome to do. So if you'd like to do that at any point going forward, I just wanted to note that it's open prior to the service starting as well as during the service. Our opening words this morning are from the Siddur of Shir Hadash. May the door of this sanctuary be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this house be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block for young or strained feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. And may this sanctuary be for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Let us rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Please join in saying our shared covenant, once in English and once in Spanish, in honor of our sibling community in Plazuelas, El Salvador. The words will be up on our screen, and Ave is lighting our chalice this morning. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help
one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia y el servicio es nuestra oración. Esta es nuestra gran promesa, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Good morning. Good to be with you all this morning. My name is Rose. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as this congregation's religious educator. Glad to be with you all on our multi-gen service day, particularly multi-generational service theme today. And I just have a little bit to share with you all about a program we're running in the next few weeks. So as many of you may know, I grew up in this congregation. When I was just about 4 years old, I started coming here with my 3 older sisters and our parents, and I came here, I think, like almost every Sunday from then on until I left for college. That's a lot of Sundays. So I think I know a thing or two about being a kid in this specific congregation. And one thing I remember from that time in my life is that there were always a lot of grown-ups around who I didn't really know. I'd see them, and maybe I could recognize their faces, but for the most part, I knew the parents of the other kids, and I knew the other kids. We just had our different spheres of church life, and we sort of stuck to them. I know we just have a few kids in our crowd this morning, but I wonder for any of you, does that feel true to you? Do you feel like there are a bunch of adults who you maybe recognize but don't know super well? Ave, yeah. Anything else you want to say about that? Just mostly true? Okay, Ave is really excited for Mystery Friends, so that's a little spoiler for what's coming next. Very grateful that she's excited. So grateful she's excited. So now that I am one of the grown-ups in the congregation and work here, I care a lot about trying to change that sense of separateness in our community. And we'll talk more about this later in the service, but I think it's actually a really special and unique thing to have people of a wide range of ages, all in one community. Church is different from school or work in that way, from many of our other spheres of our public life. And we want to make the most of that, really build connections. So, as we got a little preview of, we're running a program called Mystery Friends. Mystery Friends is all about writing letters, mystery letters, to someone else in the congregation that hopefully you don't know quite yet, someone ideally of a different generation. We're gonna hopefully start this next Sunday and go for 6 weeks. So you get code names and exchange letters and drawings, stories and questions, all to get to know someone who you might not otherwise know. I do have one letter in this basket already. Ave, do you wanna help me take a look at this letter? I wonder what's on there. Do you see what it says? You wanna say it?
It says Theodore Parker.
Right, from Theodore Parker to
You.
And yeah, the ghost of Theodore Parker has remarkably similar handwriting to myself. And I think I think there might be just a little letter in there, a short one, just to give a little preview of what this could be like. I don't know if this is the most legible handwriting there is, but just a short little letter saying,
I'm so glad you're a part of our community.
there you go. The Ghost of Theater Parker is really grateful that all of us are here, of all ages. Thank you, Ava. I appreciate that. So as I said, I'd really love for our pen pal matches in this program to be between people of different generations to help break down these barriers. But so far, in our signups, we've had 14 older adults, 1 younger adult, and 2 kids. It's a little bit, as we know, we have a big age range here, but it's a little bit weighted, just how it is. So this is my call to all of you here who are on the younger end of our spectrum. Some of the kids here have already signed up, but if you haven't, or you're a younger adult, maybe in the Gen X or millennial range, I would really love for you to join this program to help these intergenerational connections happen. If you are thinking about it and want to talk more, I'll be in coffee hour after the service, a little FAQ sheet and possibilities for signing up. And we'll maybe recruit beyond who is here specifically this morning too. Thank you all. I hope we can make this work. I think that there are some really magical, unique connections that could play out with this program. And I'm grateful for the chance to see what unfolds.
Thank you, Rose. So as we shift into a space of contemplation and prayer, I invite you to feel yourself here in this moment. Take a few nurturing breaths and settle into a time of stillness. And if you're here in the sanctuary this morning and would like to include a joy or concern, you can fill out a prayer card during our centering hymn. And if you're joining us on Zoom and wish to share a joy or a concern during our time of prayer, I invite you to type that into the chat now. I invite us to remain seated and join in singing our centering hymn, number 1023 in the teal hymnal. The lyrics will also be on the screen, Building Bridges.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Our joys and concerns this morning include a concern for Meredith, who writes on Zoom that she has concern and sorrow for her sister Nancy, who has entered hospice in Houston. for that concern and all that remain unspoken in the sanctuary of our hearts, I'll light one final candle. Let us join together in a space of prayer and meditation. We begin by bringing attention into our bodies, feeling the in and the out of our breath, steady beating of our hearts, feeling the solidness of the ground below us. I invite you to breathe in a bit more deeply. Breathe out a bit more slowly as you arrive more fully in this moment. As we breathe in and out together, let us breathe in our gratitude for the people we are surrounded by in person or in spirit this morning. Our gratitude for this beloved community, with its abundant spread of age and experience, perspective, and ways of being. Gathered here for the simple and endlessly complex work of knowing one another. As we breathe in and breathe out, may we feel the shape of all that we carry with us. The sorrows and the worries of our hearts sitting right next to our joy and our love. May we feel the fullness of all that has been shared and well held by this community, and the difficulty of all that goes unseen, unacknowledged. We breathe in together, knowing that to be in community is to be in messiness, in imperfection. And we breathe out, promising to ourselves and each other to stick with the mess, to hold tenderly the imperfection of ourselves and of others, and always, when we gather together, to begin again in love. May it be so, and amen. Together, we will rest into several moments of shared silence, followed by our musical meditation.
Generosity is a spiritual practice in our Unitarian Universalist congregations. We give to remind ourselves of how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with gratitude for all that we have been given, and with the faith that together we have more than enough. Links to donate will be in the chat, or you can take a meditative moment writing out a check and sending it to the church after the service. Ushers will be coming around the sanctuary to collect an offering from those in the pews who wish to donate something more tangible. Theodore Parker Singers will provide wonderful offertory music with the song One Voice.
Thank you, TPC singers. What a beautiful, beautiful song this morning. So as you might know, I care a lot about multi-generational ministry. In my previous role, I was the minister of faith formation at another congregation, which meant that I was in a role a lot like Rose's role here. I was in charge of religious education for all ages, building multi-generational community, and a whole host of other things. But those are what's particularly relevant to this morning. And you might be wondering, what does multi-generational community mean? So I use the word multi-generational to indicate that we have multiple generations in our community, at least 5, maybe 6 generations here today. Can anyone tell me what a generation is?
A certain amount of time.
A certain amount of time. It's 20 years. Sometimes it's used to indicate parents and children and families, right? Generally today we're talking about sort of age cohorts and when people were born, right? Cohorts based on when we were born. And it doesn't just mean adults and kids, right? We have multiple generations in worship, even when all the kids are in children's chapel. We always have multiple generations in worship. And I actually think that is one of the really special things about church, because church is only one of the few places in our society where that happens. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in my homily, but it doesn't really happen in schools or at work where you can connect with people who are maybe 50 years older or 50 years younger than you. So I'll talk more in a little bit about why I think that's so important and special, but first I need your help. I need your help to show off the multiple generations that we have in the room here today with us. And we are going to do that by dancing. So I'm going to ask you to participate in a generations dance-off. Are you ready? And if you're on Zoom, I am going to invite you to put your camera on and also participate in our generations dance-off. So Rose and I are going to describe each generation, and then we're going to play a short clip of music that was popular in the United States during that generation's youth. We are going to ask each group to dance as you would have danced to that music back in the day. And I will caveat this by saying I've done this exercise many, many times, and I always get flack from people who are at either end of a generation telling me that I picked the wrong song. So I will say it is very hard to find one song that represents a 20-year birth year spread, okay? So if you were born on the cusp of a generation and you feel like that song does not speak to you, that was like an old person song by the time you first heard it, that's okay, that's normal. I'm just gonna ask you to pick the description in the generation that feels like it fits you most. It's a very imperfect science. There's no universal agreement about when birth years start and end. They're all like 2 to 5 year spreads. So pick whatever feels right to you. And I encourage you to dance in whatever way you want. If you're at home, turn on your camera if you're comfortable with that. Feel free to sit in your pew and dance, but even more so, you're encouraged to get out into the aisles as well. Are you ready? Yes. Okay. Rose, what's our first generation?
Okay, first up, we have the silent generation. So this is maybe from 1905 to 1945. That's about the birth year range. And the silent generation is a generation born between the 2 world wars, who were probably too young to serve when World War II started, but many had fathers who served in World War I. They're known for being thrifty, loyal, determined, and many members of the silent generation went on to harness the scientific and technological advances of the Second World War, developing innovative inventions, which laid the groundwork for even more technological progress in the late 20th century. Are you ready, silent generation? Okay, we've got our song.
He was a famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style that no one else could play. He was the top man at his craft. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now, a-blowin' reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. They made him blow a bugle for his Uncle Sam. It really brought him down because he couldn't jam. The captain seemed to understand, because the next day the cap went out and drafted a band. And now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie-woogie bugle boy of Company B. A toot, a toot, a toot-toot.
Thank you, silent generation. Next up is the baby boomers. I'm feeling like there might be a strong representation here. So the baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964, and this was the generation born just after World War II, a time that included a 14-year birth rate increase worldwide. Baby boomers in their teenage and college years were characteristically part of the 1960s counterculture, but later became more ideologically divided, although the generation remained widely committed to keystone values such as gender equality, racial equality, and environmental stewardship. As a group, they were the healthiest and wealthiest generation to that time, and among the first to grow up expecting the world to improve with time. All right, baby boomers, get ready.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something I think you'll understand. When I say that something, I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. I wanna hold your hand. Oh, please say to me, let me be your man, and please say to me, you let me hold your hand, let me hold your hand, I wanna hold your hand, and
I love the singing.
So good, so good. Okay, up next is Gen X. So people considered to be within Generation X or Gen X were born between about 1965 and 1979 and grew up during the later years of, in the decade following the Cold War. They are most often linked with the presidencies of Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. A coming of age after the Vietnam War had ended, their political experiences were shaped by the end of the Cold War and the fall of the Berlin Wall. Often described as independent and self-reliant at early ages, in striving for a strong work-life balance in their working years, this generation saw the inception of the home computer, the rise of video games, and the internet as a tool for social and commercial purposes. .com businesses, MTV, grunge music, hip-hop culture, and the HIV/AIDS epidemic were all part of the formative years of this generation. Okay, Gen Xers, I know we've got a few of you. You ready?
I have a hurricane, listen to yourself, churn world serves its own needs, dummy serve your own needs, feed it up an ox, speak, grunt, no strength, the ladder starts to clatter with fear, fight down, high, wire in a fire, represented 7 games in the government for hire and a combat site, left to us are coming in a hurry with the furies breathing down your neck. Team by team reporters babble Trump, tether crop, look at that low plane, fine, then, overflow, population common food, but it'll do, save yourself, serve yourself, world serves its own needs, listen to your heartbeat, dummy with the rapture and the reverend and the right, you patriotic, slam, fight, bright, light, feeling, pretty sight, it's the end of the world as we know it, it's the end of the world as we know it, it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. 6 o'clock.
All right, millennials. I got to dance from the pulpit, so you all have it easy. So the millennial generation, or those among us born between 1980 and 1995, are characterized by their helicopter parents. I got this from somebody else, I'll just say. Idealism and community focus and tech savviness. Sometimes called the Echo Baby Boom, this is the largest and most multicultural generation that the United States had seen to that time. Some formative world events were 9/11 and the Iraq War. and the rise of instant communication technologies made it possible through the use of the internet, such as email, texting, IM, and new media like YouTube and social networking sites, and those to stay more connected, and this may explain millennials' reputation for being peer-oriented, open to change, and for seeking instant gratification. All right, millennials, let's represent.
I'm doing this tonight. You're probably gonna start a fight. I know this can't be right. Hey, baby, come on. I loved you endlessly, and you weren't there for me. So now it's time to leave and make it alone. I know that I can't take no more. It ain't no lie. I wanna see you out that door, baby. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, bye. Don't wanna be a fool for you. Just another player in your game for two. You may hate me, but it ain't no lie, baby. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, bye. Don't really wanna make it tough. I just wanna tell you that I had enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie, baby. Bye, bye, bye.
Somewhere deep in our muscle memory is that bye, bye, bye part.
Okay, next up. We seem to have settled on Gen Z as the name for the generation that follows millennials. Gen Zers were born between about 1996 and 2012, and they are the generation now becoming young adults. A significant characteristic of this generation is its widespread use of the internet from a young age. Members of Gen Z are typically thought of as being comfortable with technology, interacting on social media, accounts for a significant portion of their socializing. Described as the more racially and ethnically diverse generation than any previous generation, and generally politically progressive, this generation experienced COVID-19 in some of their most formative years of coming of age, and the consequences of that are still only beginning to be understood. Okay, Gen Z, I don't know if you're in the crowd today. Members of our youth group are Gen Z. So members of our community are absolutely Gen Z, just not, I think, in this crowd right now. But we have your song still, a song.
I stay out too late, got nothing in my brain. That's what people say. That's what people say. I go on too many dates, but I can't make them stay. At least that's what people say. That's what people say. But I keep cruising, can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's gonna be alright. 'Cause the player's gonna play, 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 and the haters gonna hate, 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 baby. I'm just gonna shake, 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 shake it off, shake it off. Heartbreaker's gonna break, 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 and the faker's gonna fake, 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 baby. I'm just gonna shake, 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 shake it off, shake it off.
And finally, Generation Alpha. So Generation Alpha is the generation that is currently being born. From 2012 onward, this is the first generation to be born entirely in the 21st century, amidst falling fertility rates worldwide. This generation experienced COVID-19 as young children, and they have had significantly different experiences with technology in the classroom and other aspects of life. Screen time is a major conversation around this cohort, and climate change will be a defining factor in the life experiences of this generation. And I will say that this song was chosen by Children's Chapel a few weeks ago, so the kids chose their own song for this. Are you ready?
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes.
our dancers a big round of applause. Thank you all so much for participating. So I wanted to say a few words about kind of the meaning I make of all of this. So I grew up in a very small church, and as a teenager, I babysat for several of the kids in my church. And their parents, the kids' parents, were several of my mom's friends, and these adults all became mentors to me. Actually, some of them made this stole that I'm wearing today. And over years, they showed genuine care and interest in my life on a regular basis. And in turn, I got to play a very meaningful role in the lives of their kids, several kids in my church community. And I remember when I got to college really missing that. I remember being so struck that I was surrounded by people only my own age and feeling lonely and disoriented. I really struggled to adjust to the transition my freshman year and feeling like I needed somebody who had been through the transition ahead of me to tell me that it was normal and that things were going to be okay and that there was more to life than the first semester of college. But everyone else around me was in the first semester of college. And they had no wisdom to share with me about getting through that transition. A few years ago, I came across some data that said that in our formative schooling years, the majority of Americans are segregated by age plus or minus 1 year. So when we are young, we mostly spend time with people who range from a year younger to a year older than us. And when we enter the workforce, the range widens, but not as much as you would think. It widens to about 10 years in either direction, on average. And in addition to age segregation in our schools and in our workplaces, families of origin are often more spread out geographically than they have been previously. Though it's also interesting to note that multi-generational living is again on the rise. But even then, churches are one of the few places in our society, perhaps the only place, where many people of many generations gather on a regular basis. And as a minister, and especially as a minister who spent the first decade of her ministry working in faith formation, I've thought a lot about the unique challenges and opportunities and gifts that we have creating multi-generational community in our churches. Because not only does it mean that we have cohorts within our communities, what Paula Cole-Jones, a Unitarian Universalist thinker, calls a community of communities, meaning that within one large church community, we might have smaller micro-communities, right? For instance, young kids or our youth group or the people who are working on social justice issues, that within our larger community, we have different life experiences and reference points, and then we have different cohorts. And sometimes those cohorts are based on the life stage that we're in. From overscheduled families with 2 working parents, to people who are recently retired and looking for new projects, to people who may be trying to downsize their responsibilities of church work after decades of service, right? We have that whole range in our community. And this can be a challenge, but it can also be an enormous gift when we ask, together as a community, what does each cohort need from their church at their particular stage of life? How can our congregation meet each generation and each life stage where they're at? So since I arrived here, I've heard a lot of enthusiasm, particularly about welcoming young families into our church community, which I just love. I love the open-heartedness and the enthusiasm that's behind this, and it's also worth, I think, remembering that the lives of families, we were talking about this a little bit at the startup workshop that happened a week ago. It's worth remembering that the lives of families have been hugely impacted and shaped by raising children through the pandemic. That's a major factor for families right now. And also by the economic pressures that many families are under as inflation continues to rise, and as most families rely on 2 incomes and have less free time than previous generations. And that we're also seeing demographic trends across the nation of falling church attendance among families with young children. And I think the question that can be transformative around this dynamic is to shift away from asking, how can we get young families to join what we are already doing, and to instead begin asking, what are the needs of young families, and how can we meet young families where they are? But friends, I will also remind us that multi-generational community is not just about getting more families and kids into our churches. It is at its core about honoring that every developmental stage, every life stage that we go through as humans is worthy and sacred, and it is a full part of being human. And that as a church that seeks to honor the full humanity of every person, we are called to honor the diverse expressions of that humanity and how it changes throughout our own lives, right? From toddlerhood to elderhood. And the life experiences and the wisdom and the perspective that we each bring at every life stage and through every generation. And friends, what a gift to have so many people around us who have gone through the things we might be currently going through, who might have wisdom to share looking back on that life stage. Or to have people who can remind us what it was like to be in a particular life stage and to help us reflect on our own experience by watching theirs. So friends, as we celebrate what it means to be part of a multi-generational community, let us remember that in doing so, we are honoring the full range of human experiences, and that we are blessed with the gifts of memory and perspective, of wisdom and of connection that come with having people of all ages surrounding us. And as we learn and grow together, let us also learn to dance alongside each other with appreciation and love, embracing our differences and celebrating our shared humanity. May it be so, and amen. I invite us to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 128 in the gray hymnal, For All That Is Our Life. The words will be on the slides.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve,
128.
we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life.
Number 128.
For sorrows we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Thank you. Please be seated. Friends, for all that is our life, throughout our life, may we celebrate all that we bring and all that one another brings. Memory, perspective, wisdom, and connection. And may we build a community that spans across the generations and celebrates all of the stages. May it be so, and amen. I have a few announcements and invitations for us this morning. First of all, if you are joining us in person, I would love to invite you to coffee hour next door in our parish hall. And if you're joining us on Zoom, I invite you to stick around for our breakout rooms. We have many things coming up in the next couple of weeks. First of all, today, this afternoon, the Middle East Advocacy Group is meeting in the parlor to discuss the continuing crisis in the Middle East, and you are more than welcome to join. Coming up, there is a book group, also hosted by the Middle East Advocacy Group, of Tracing Homelands by Linda Dittmar. And the first meeting is going to be Wednesday, February 14th. You can talk to any of the folks in that group, and I think Kevin is probably the best person to talk to about getting a copy of that book. On Monday, February 12th, so a week from tomorrow, we'll have our second iteration of Journey Dance, the spiritual practices through movement, embodied spiritual practices led by Jill Cowie, who is a guest facilitator of this program. Please sign up ahead of time via the weekly email so that Jill can have a good head count. And finally, we are doing another round of candlelight dinners in February, and you can now sign up as a guest. We're still looking for some hosts, and in particular looking for someone to lead here at the church a program that will be more kid and family friendly. There's more space, etc. So if you're interested in leading that, please talk to Meredith St. John, and if you're interested in signing up, you can do so, I believe, now in the weekly email, and also by talking to Meredith. And Yukiko will close us out by B Minor Waltz by Bill Evans.